Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Two for One podcast. I'm Nate, joined alongside Mr. Dion as per usual, and a very special guest and a friend of the pod, Mr. DugLust, aka Baseface, as per his Instagram bio. I hope I got that right. We're having him back on for the first time since the Mike Brown discussion. A little bit of a different vibe going on with the Knicks, so that's what we're going to dive into. But before we get into all that, Doug, how you doing? How's it been since the beginning of the season?
I'm having fun making my content. I'm having fun thinking, talking, writing about this team. I am not having fun watching this team. They look like a bunch of G Leaguers. They look like a bunch of not even middle schoolers right now. It's insane. So, other than the actual play of the team, everything's going pretty well.
Yeah, and things were going well. The play was fun. It was a fun team to watch. They were a good team, and then all of a sudden, they're 2-9 in their last 11. Looks like literally one of the worst teams in basketball. We'll get into the advanced statistics and more as the episode unfolds. But I just want to ask you, with this unusual, awful stretch of play, we haven't seen this kind of poor stretch from the Knicks in a long time. They're on their second four-game losing streak. We haven't seen a four-game losing streak before this season until all the way back in 2022. So, what was the moment for you that just stuck out and really started to cause some concern?
I think it was the way they came out against Atlanta after New Year's Eve. They got totally shellacked and totally exposed by a very rangy, long, quick, athletic Atlanta team. And the book on the Knicks is as of yet recently has been long, rangy, athletic teams give them trouble, but if you're trying to win a championship, the story can't just end with, oh, there's just certain teams you can't compete against because of the type of players that they have. It doesn't work that way. You have to be able to beat everyone on a given night. So once that game went down how it did, Philadelphia came in and they don't have long rangy wings. They have like super quick, fast, tempo pushing guards. So now we find it, and they beat the brakes off the Knicks. The Knicks were at home in that game. So now we find out that, oh, here's another type of team that the Knicks can't beat. Up tempo teams with fast guards. Okay. So now it's starting to look really concerning. Like, who is the team that they can beat? It's only you can't play the Wizards every single night. So that's the signs have been there since New Year's, since the New Year's second half of New Year's Eve against San Antonio, and it's just built and snowballed into the tragedy that it is right now.
Yeah, I think the Pistons game for me was just so alarming. The fact that this was this big hyped up matchup, the top two seeds finally getting to play each other. It wasn't even competitive. After the first 5 minutes, you knew what the outcome of the game was going to be, and that's the annoying trend that seems to be building with the Knicks. Is if they look bad in the first 3 to 5 minutes of the game, they're probably not going to come back and do anything about that energy. And it felt like, not to give Tibbs all this credit and whatnot, I'm not saying that I disagree with him being fired, but it felt like those teams, you always felt like they could come back. You always felt like there was an opportunity for them to come back no matter how big the lead was. Right now, when the Knicks go down, it feels like they're just down and out and they almost quit on some of these games.
Yeah, the way you put it in your
They
video
have
that you posted, I think says it perfectly. Because like what stands out to me is the three-game stretch right after, like losing to the Spurs. Like yeah, how they played in the second half wasn't encouraging, I would say. But you lose by 2 points to the Spurs. I'm not like losing sleep over that. But then yeah, to kind of get punked by the Hawks, like right off the jump from that game, and then to come back the very next night and give up 62 points to the Sixers backcourt and just get punked like that, following it up with, like you said, the national TV game against the Pistons, just getting embarrassed. Like that three-game stretch, that's not the type of stretch you see from like a championship contending team.
correct, and the starts are what's so maddening. The fact that because to me, this whole season for the Knicks, it's not even really about winning and losing individual games. It's about coming out with a representative identity of what you're trying to build towards to deploy in the playoffs.
Mm.
So if you're coming out and kicking the ball around to the point where you're giving up double digit leads, like the initial runs of all these games are the teams going up on the Knicks like 13-2, 14-3. And it just starts with a cascade of dumb mistakes. Like last night, we take another disastrous nationally televised game against Dallas and an extremely undermanned Dallas team. Yes, Cooper Flag, of course, miraculously healed from his ankle sprain because he was in Madison Square Garden. He got that Madison Square mana sprinkled on his ankle, and he was just fine. But that was it. If you can find a way to slow down Cooper Flag, realistically, you should be your 7.5 point favorites at home. Come on.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, what I noticed in that game is because I'm so attuned to the ways that they screw up, is that off the tip off, the Knicks won the tip off, and OG Anunoby it caromed off of Cat to Anunoby, and Anunoby just dropped the ball on the tip off. So if
Yeah.
that doesn't set the tone, given how you've been playing the last 3 games, last several games, you can't just close the tip off that you won. Where's your head at? Where is the competitive spirit for this game, for this team?
Mm.
That points to like the bigger issue of it being so many mental mistakes and not even about the ability because this team so clearly has the ability. It just feels like I hate to say they don't care, but it genuinely just seems like they do not care a lot of the time. Like the lazy passes, even Brunson, I think, is guilty of it too. He's thrown some really bad passes in the last couple of weeks. Very just careless, lob it up, like no care for the defense can easily come and intercept that. And it just feels like a lack of urgency. They see what's going wrong on offense, but then the next possession they come back and do the exact same thing. So it's like, where is the accountability? Because all I see on the sideline is Mike Brown clapping while they're down by 30 against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like Dion, as I guess as an outsider looking in, because you're not, you don't have any bias or any horse in this race.
Well,
What? Or
I
I guess
wouldn't
you.
say that much as a
Other
Celtics
than
fan.
wanting
I don't
us
know
to
if
lose
that's
every single
entirely
game,
true.
yeah.
I am on the outside
Yeah.
looking in, though. Yeah, sure. But go
Other
ahead.
other than
Um.
wanting the Knicks to go off a cliff, Dion has no
Yeah.
real
Actually.
stake
Yeah.
in any of
Fair.
this.
But
Other
yeah,
than
I
still
think,
being. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think you guys are. I don't want to say overreacting because I totally get it. If my team was in this situation and they went 2-9 in January, like yeah, I'd be panicking a little bit. But I don't feel like this changes too much how I feel about the Knicks' long-term outcome for this season. It's not great. Like they need to turn things around, and there's clearly something that's not clicking as far as like the effort piece, like you were talking about. And I really like that Jalen Brunson held the players only meeting. I think we will probably see, even if it's short term temporary, we should see some sort of boost in the effort after something like that. But I still feel like the Knicks should be the favorite to come out of the East, despite the stretch. But yeah, there's just something that needs to change as far as like the collectiveness of the team and just putting forth like a championship level effort.
They
I
are.
see the biggest I see the biggest disconnect if you want to pinpoint what it might be. I'm not gonna come on your guys' show and say that Mike Brown has got to go after 40 games.
Oof.
That's not my style. I will say that
Yeah.
something is happening with him and Cat that's bad. And you can see it. It jumps off the page when you watch games, jumps off the page when you hear the post-game quotes where he criticizes where Mike Brown is extremely critical of Cat. And you see it when Cat just makes the most annoying mistakes. Like he drew a flagrant foul and he missed one of the free throws and then turned it over.
The,
Or
the
he kicked Dwight Powell in the nuts
Powell's nuts.
twice. Like, bro, what? So it's just this kind of like it's almost like Brown throws him under the bus, and then his way of getting back, Cat's way of getting back at Brown is going into business for himself on the court. And it's a very toxic back and forth between the two of them. And it's like one of you has to be the adult in the room right now and fix this.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Cat. I wanted to get into talking about him a little bit, and this might be a little bit of a premature discussion, but with the trade deadline coming up in just a couple of weeks, it does feel like that Cat Mike Brown relationship might be heading or like coming to an head. Would you be open to the idea of trading Cat mid-season? There was a report that came out not too long ago that they are going to be shopping him. Like, what are your thoughts on that situation?
My thoughts on that situation are that if there's a prudent deal to be made around a player like Cat, who, let's be honest, at this point in his contract and in his career, he's a net neutral asset at best. Let's just call it what it is. For $53 million, the kind of production that he's giving the Knicks this year is just not it's just not up to that value level yet.
It's unfortunate, but I think we can say that they lost the cat trade at this point now.
I don't believe that.
Really?
I
Okay.
really don't believe that. I don't believe that, because I don't. I don't think that the Randall situation was going anywhere good,
Yeah.
and I don't think the Knicks could have gotten much for him on an expiring contract. I think the biggest loss for the Knicks is losing DiVincenzo in that deal, but you have to pay to play, and I think Cat had a great season last year, and was a big part of the playoff run to the conference finals. But just to land this, I don't think also that the case is not closed with that trade. Who
No,
knows
yeah,
what
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
is
It's
Minnesota going to
definitely not
flip?
closed.
Is
But
Minnesota going to flip Randall is another question. Or what are they doing with Randall? Like how are they going to resolve that situation?
Mhm.
But not to get too sidetracked, to stay with Cat, I think that the Knicks are devastatingly in need of a defensive upgrade somehow. And if you are able to turn Cat's contract and situation into a defensive upgrade in which you have a tight window where you have an injured Jason Tatum and an injured Tyrese Halliburton. If you have an opportunity to fill the needs of this team with Cat's contract, unfortunately, part of bringing him into this fold was the possibility of doing that. That's not me saying that I'm not a fan of his. I haven't been a fan of his body language this year. I haven't been a fan of him taking himself out of defensive possessions, but I think he's an extraordinarily talented player, and I genuinely want him to continue to be a good Knick. I think his season one as a New York Knick was a success for Cat. So I'm not saying I'm abandoning the idea of him being part of success here in New York, but the problems that the Knicks face, a lot of it is generated from the fact that you are starting him under the rim and Jalen Brunson at the point of attack defensively, which points you at in this situation where the other three players in that starting lineup are immediately pressed to make up for mistakes, make up for late rotations. Why are guys always open in the corner after a few skip passes, like a few
Mhm.
passes around the perimeter? Somebody's
Yeah.
always wide open.
Julian
Why is that?
Julian Champagne's 11 threes came off of all basically the same spot on the left wing where they just consistently did not get back in transition, where they were like, okay, let's protect the rim instead of
Hmm.
contesting the shooter who's been, hitting every single shot that he's been taking. And I think that's part of I don't know if that's a flaw with Mike Brown's system because it happened with Tibbs too, where the Knicks are so set on always protecting the basket rather than getting out on shooters, which in today's NBA is not a recipe for success. You have to contest shooters before you're gonna go and not like give up the free layups here and there. I would rather you go and contest 3-point shooters than leave these guys who are now, the league average from 3-point range this season I think is over 38% right now. So if you're gonna leave a guy who on average hits 38%, it's not a recipe for success when you're looking at effective field goal percentage, and
Hmm.
how efficiency is measured in today's game. What I want to say about Cat is I think my issue. What was that?
I wanted to say something because you
Okay,
mentioned like
okay, yeah.
Julian Champagnie hitting all those shots from the same spot. I feel like it was the same situation with Max Christie. He hit eight threes in that game.
Oh yeah,
And
it's a
The
different
left
player every
corner. It
game.
was the, it
yeah,
was the left corner instead of the left elbow, but it was the
right.
same root cause.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wanted to look it up because I knew it would be pretty high, but it was probably even worse than I imagined. The Knicks are fourth in opponent 3-point percentage, like fourth worst, and they give up the fifth most 3-point attempts amongst all teams. So the numbers bear out.
Unacceptable. And the only reason why it's not even higher than that is because they give up a lot of fast break points.
Yep,
So a lot of the
because of the
times that
bad
they're getting their
passes.
ass beat, it's like, oh, we just have a run out dunk. Why the hell not? Unlike what the Knicks do when they have fast breaks, which is kick out to stupid trail threes that hit off the back of the rim. Even like they will be under the basket on a fast break and they will pass out to those shots. And maybe that's a schematic Mike Brown thing of him being too much like, all right, guys, you got to always spray, 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 spray. And it's like, no, spray means like a good offensive process to a paint touch. It doesn't mean pass out of an open layup.
Right.
Like we got to start thinking practically if we're going to win games. It's so frustrating. I'm
Well,
getting sidetracked, but
no, but I
I'm
think
bubbling over with
that's
frustration.
part of the reason why I think like I hate to say it, but I think I'm out on Cat being a part of a team that can win a championship, especially if Jalen Brunson is your number one option. I don't see how two guys who, as much as I love Jalen Brunson, who are that bad defensively, can be on a team that wins a championship because genuinely, Karl-Anthony Towns is probably one of the most negatively impactful players I have ever seen on who plays because of the amount of minutes he's playing and because of how big his role is. He gets 11 rebounds per game, basically all off of just ball watching and being the tallest guy on the floor. Like the weakest 11 rebounds per game I have ever seen. The guy does not box out. the rebounding presence isn't there unless Mitchell Robinson is on the floor or if Josh Hart turns into Dennis Rodman like he does from time to time. I just cannot get by with Cat's defensive instincts, and it's something we talked about Dion right when the trade happened, and I was not a fan of the trade right when it happened. Someone who's been in the league for 9 plus years, 10 plus years, and has these same tendencies, they don't change. They are who they are at this point. We talked about it with DeAndre Ayton wanting him to be more physical and aggressive in the paint. Guys are who they are. And I think, unfortunately, the pairing of Jalen Brunson and Cat, unless they are both playing at their absolute peak offensively, which they were throughout a lot of the playoffs last year, credit to them and credit to Cat for how good he played offensively. But fundamentally, there are going to be off nights, and when the off nights happen with Cat, they are so hard to survive as a team that also has Jalen Brunson on the court for 40 minutes a game when it comes playoff time.
I
Do you disagree with that, Doug?
No, I think that the rub that you're seeing versus the theory of putting these two players together, it's kind of like a real difference between just writing down names on a piece of paper and seeing how
Yeah.
they work on a basketball court together. And the reason I say that is because in theory, when the reason why I like the trade is because you have now a center who's a high percentage for his career, definitely not this year, a high percentage 3-point shooter. And when you have Jalen Brunson, whose game is predicated on getting into the paint, that seems like a synergy that would work.
Yeah.
But the problem with Cat is that he gets in rhythm from three by getting in rhythm up close first. So there's been this disconnect between the two of them. They don't run pick and roll together very well, and they don't communicate very well offensively. So it's not like they're creating some kind of advantage that wipes away the immense disadvantage of having the two most important levels of your defense
Yeah.
have really weak defenders. So like this, unless there's some awakening that's going to happen where Cat can start moving his feet on defense, or Jalen Brunson can stop being a complete turnstile. Like, where did he go? Like every single time somebody is trying to draw, and it's like players that I don't want to criticize. Like I want this to work. I want them to be scoring enough points that I don't have to think about this. That was the theory, but this is basketball. This is a when you play the game is watching you. It's observing how are you respecting and working, or are you just trying to get by on the fact that you have a nice jump shot? Like, how are you creating energy? How are you creating baskets? How are you creating momentum for your teammates? The Knicks are not, this is like going to sound like way metaphysical out there kind of shit, but like the Knicks are not honoring the game with the way they're playing right now. They're taking bad shots, and it's like they'll miss 7 3-pointers in a row. But and you'll think to yourself, they have to regress to the mean and they're going to be on fire the next quarter. But the process of getting to these 3-pointers is we're just chucking them up just to get
They're
the
bad.
volume up.
Yeah. Like
It's not, there's no process involved with the way the Knicks are playing, and it's really exposing Cat and Brunson in a way that's really tough.
I think the last game against Dallas was a perfect example of that. They couldn't get anything going. They were one for like their first 19 from three or something like that. And they're just still taking these god awful shots, like a guy in their face, or like Jordan Clarkson came in for 2 minutes, took a bad three. And it's just like, I don't understand what they expect the result or how they expect the result to change when it's the same thing over and over again that hasn't been working. The ball was moving beautifully earlier in the season. And I think that's where you're right about the disconnect between players and Mike Brown. People are clearly just not bought into their roles. And is the days go by, it feels like they're less and less bought in because the ball was moving beautifully. The players were moving beautifully. The off ball movement was awesome. There were a lot of, just plays being, or not plays being ran, but the ball was in McHale's hands. He was more aggressive earlier in the season. He was shooting ridiculously from the field. He was like 56% from the field through the first 4 weeks. OG was shooting the ball great. He's now down to 30% from three in his last 10 games. So it just feels like everything that was working is now all of a sudden just not working, and they refuse to try and revert back to what was working, which was getting everybody involved. The confidence when everyone touched it, and I think Deuce was right about this team, and them not respecting the game where it's they feel entitled. This feels like a team that just knows they're really skilled. They know that we can probably coast by and get to the playoffs, but if they keep playing like this, they're not. It just feels like there's no urgency at all. And a thing I pointed out the other day was no one's taking these losses personally except for Deuce McBride and Jalen Brunson, it feels like. And shout out Mitchell Robinson. I just don't think he cares enough on and off the court. He gives great effort on the court, but I don't think Mitch is losing any sleep over that. He's too busy tweeting or Facebook posting about his 10-day relationship that ended apparently. Yeah, but I don't know where you're at with this team as a whole, or if you think it's more so starts at the top where Cat has to play better, or I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's more Mike Brown or do you think it's more on the players right now?
I think it's everybody. I think it's everybody is playing a role in what's happening. And the sooner that they all come to grips with the fact that it's shared blame and shared responsibility, the sooner they fix it. Because if you think about it, let's look at the people on my shirt, right? That's the Knicks starting five. Is there anybody here that's not securely financially taken care of?
No.
Everyone's pretty much good, right?
22 plus million a year, I think, for every single player, at least on
Like,
that
and
shirt.
and we got years left across everybody here,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
So we're paid now. Like we're paid and we're locked in, and now it's time to focus on winning. So if you're gonna give me bullshit about I don't get enough touches, why does Jalen always get this shot? Why does Cat always get this shot? Why isn't Mikhail getting more shots? Why is Mikhail taking fewer shots? All these things. If we're gonna get into that kind of minutia bullshit, why are we doing it? Because everyone's gotten paid, everyone's made sure that their bag is taken care of. Nobody's getting their shit messed up by not getting enough shots.
Hmm.
So get your head out of your ass. Understand that Miles McBride is getting paid like a fraction of what every other person in that rotation, other than Mitchell
I
Robinson, who's
actually
also on a pretty reasonable contract. I mean, everybody on the top end of this rotation is slapping slapping Deuce McBride in the face when they don't come out and play hard, and when they don't come out and share the ball. And guess what? Who's the best player on the team right now? Deuce McBride.
I have some stats actually for you, Doug. So, the last 10 games, so this is since the new year, so since January 1st. Cat 17 points per game on 43, 32, 79 splits. Mikhail 14 points a game, 43, 35, 85 splits. OG 17, 40, 17 on 46, 30, 80 splits. Deuce McBride, who makes $4 million, 15 on 43, 41, 100, and most of his shots are from three, so that's why the field goal percentage is a little low. That's 57 million for Cat, 33 and a half for Mikhail, 36.6 for OG, all for them to get outproduced by a guy who's going to be making $3.9 million next year.
What are we doing? It's a second round pick. Come on. Like Deuce McBride is the most the Nick that fans can identify with the most this year. It's there. He is the him and Mitch. They consistently give that level of effort defensively, rebounding wise, making plays, trying to make the right basketball play and the right read, and not thinking about their own stat line. We're getting into territory that's uncomfortable for me to say because I have, like I said, I know my visibility is high. Like I know that my takes are out there, my opinions are out there. It's just hard to care so much and watch a team that seems to be motivated by something other than we need to play for each other. And again, I don't get bogged down in winning individual games. I can't. You cannot
No.
watch a basketball team for 90 plus games a season and get bogged down every single night. But the idea that you are doing anything other than supporting your teammates. I mean, I don't know if this was on your guys' rundown for what we're going to talk
Yeah,
about
that's
tonight.
that's what I
I'm
wanted to get
sure
into next,
I'm
actually,
sure we're
was
going to get
because
into a little bit of what happened with Draymond Green because
yeah,
that was another
yeah.
absolute nightmare in terms of optics and showing out for your teammates.
Well, that was the reports that came out today, were that apparently there was a few bunch of people with the Knicks that were not taken, they were taken aback by Mike Brown going and being buddy buddy with Draymond, and I think everyone knew from the moment that that happened that that would be a reaction, and then. The thing was, people saw like Cat's dad hugging Draymond too, and then were like, "Oh, it's okay." Like some people thought, like the situation isn't as deep as it has to be, and I think that's the exact type of shit that fucks Cat up mentally because everyone just makes it out to be not as big as it is when this dude is genuinely being a massive prick to him and treating him like
Right.
a piece of garbage. Especially when Cat individually as a player, I think is a more talented individual than Draymond, and for him to have no one have his back, he is literally the only guy sticking up for himself. And for a team, not to you know, I guess belittle Cat, but if your only enforcer on your team is Karl-Anthony Towns, you're not in a good spot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gaslighting 101 bullshit for you to be for everybody else on your own team to be like, oh, that's Draymond. Look how he just plays
It's
around,
just
bro. He's just crazy. No, dude, like we are talking to like not trying to sound like the old man, the Clint Eastwood gif or whatever, like the old man on the lawn. But like I grew up in an era where cats genuinely hated each other on the basketball court, and the only reason they hated that guy in the jersey standing the opposite jersey standing across from him is because that guy was standing in the way of him winning the basketball game. So like, where is the mentality at right now? A guy goes around and talks shit about your star player, and you don't have his back. Mike Brown is guilty of it, but who within the Knicks organization is upset about it? Because I saw like 14 guys and like three coaches show love, and one player's father show love to Draymond Green. So
his
like,
own
where
his own
who?
father.
Who is it? Who,
Yeah.
why are we talking about it to the media days later? Why are we that fucking night getting in his face, being like, "Yo, back the fuck up, away from my star center"? Where is the disconnect?
I
Like
think it ties
it's
into what
baffling.
you were saying about the guys on your t-shirt all being paid. Like I think from the outside looking in, generally in a situation where guys get paid, the assumption is generally going to be like you're not going to see the same type of effort, not the same type of hunger. So
This
I think it
is
starts from the top there because like you would hope that like the bench guys would maybe step up, like come off the bench and like confront Draymond, whatever it might be. But when you see the stars of the team, like you're kind of just going to follow suit nine times out of 10. So I think it starts from the top there. Like you can point to like them all just kind of being comfortable right now. Like they came into the season, especially with the Cavs getting off to a rough start. Like it kind of feels like, they kind of felt like they could just coast. And now this is catching up to them to where like
I'm
they're having this rough stretch.
not even just the role players though too. And Dion, I'm the last person on this planet to criticize Jalen Brunson, but he
Yeah.
is our or
Yes.
he is their captain. The captain is supposed to do more than just be this silent leader. I think that the fact that Jalen Brunson hasn't been vocal at all, other than on the sidelines and in the pressers, like the fact that during these games he hasn't been, you know, standing up for his teammates as the best player, I think that not says a lot about him, but it's frustrating to not see your best player have your second best player's back. Because I know if it was Anthony Edwards, if someone was going and saying stuff to Julius Randle or vice versa, they would have each other's back. I think it's the same thing with the Thunder. If you were going and messing with Chet, SGA is gonna have his back, vice versa. Like the best teams and the best players have their backs. Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid would have each other's backs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. I
Well,
mean, it is one thing,
Like
he is like 6-0.
I
So
don't
like
I don't
there's an
want to
element to
blame
that.
Jalen
He's not
Brunson,
like,
but
but
like
yeah, no,
would
definitely something should
Doug,
be.
like would you like to see Jalen Brunson be a little more vocal in those moments?
I think Jalen Brunson has had a certain kind of this look. I can only see the games on television that
Yeah,
you guys can see.
obviously.
I'm not privy to anything else that nobody. But what I observe from Jalen Brunson that I haven't observed in previous years is there's this sense that he feels like he's on some kind of island right now. I got to do it all myself, and nobody's going to listen to me. I just got to go out there and lead by example. And, if I take this game over, maybe everybody will fall in line. Communicate. Like, you got to communicate a sense of, like, I remember last year he would refuse opponents who would try to help him up. These are the little things that like we are missing this year, that edge, that nastiness. And I think all around it's really frustrating to see. And the Knicks the Knicks, the way they've built this team, you compare them to Indiana, um, Detroit. Indiana obviously sucks this year, but that's kind of
But
out of their control.
they'll be good again.
But Detroit, even Boston, I'm trying to think of other teams. San Antonio, obviously Oklahoma City. These are teams that were built together with multiple guys from the same draft class coming up together in the league. The way that the Knicks have been built is yes, we have the nice Villanova thing. We're kind of like rehashing these old relationships. But there's also a little bit of a mercenary effect with this team too.
Mm.
So if you're going to build your team with guys that, they don't have an organic like affinity for each other, they're going to have to figure it out personally. It's like it's on the coach, it's on the organization to build a culture where like we're not thinking of ourselves as a bunch of 15 individual people. We're thinking of ourselves as a unit. This is basic shit that should a championship contender should not have to be talking about. But you see the post game interviews of teams that are connected. You see the fucking You see Victor Wembanyama with the drum and all that
Well,
bullshit that goes on over there. You see the
Max,
aura farming with the Thunder, all this stuff. It's like, yo, I thought we had a culture. I mean, the hard hat Tim's gimmick was a little corny, I guess, but
It
it
was something.
represented
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like we got to hang our hat on something, man. It can't just be 15 guys showing up and I'm gonna do the best I can and maybe we'll get a win, maybe not. But
like
where's that fire to go into these games together?
for three guys who went to college together, they couldn't look like they're having less fun playing with each other out there. For
Mm.
guys who basically begged to all play with each other, like Mikhail, Jalen, and Josh rarely seem to have any synergy on the court together. Josh, out of anyone, is probably the one who shows the most emotion. And I think when Josh is playing well, that's what fires up the team more than anything because he's the one guy on this roster who's kind of just he thrives off of chaos when he is playing chaotic, but when he is chaotic good, when Josh Hart is playing with where he's controlling the pace, where he's pushing the ball up and down the court, where he's locked in on defense and he's giving effort and grabbing every loose ball, there's no one else on the team like that. The Knicks are missing a Dylan Brooks type of guy, an enforcer, someone who's gonna go and knock someone's teeth out on the other team, like an Isaiah Stewart. That's why those guys who even if they don't have the most value on the court, even though Isaiah Stewart's been one of the best rim
Yeah.
protectors in the league, that's like a whole nother story. That's why actually I wanted to ask you go back to the cat thing, potential trades. One trade that me and Dion worked out that I thought was actually something I found really interesting and something I don't know if the team involved would be willing to do it, but the Magic were one of the teams that were asked or were mentioned as being interested in Cat or the Knicks having discussions with. What do you think if the Knicks sent out Karl-Anthony Towns, Garshawn Yabusele, and Pacome Daddier? So the Spurs get Jet Howard, Garshawn Yabusele, and Pacome Daddier. The Magic get Karl-Anthony Towns, Kelly Olynyk, and the Knicks would get Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, and Wendell Carter Jr.
That's a completely different Knicks team after that. I mean, I think that's a look. I think that's something that the Magic would never ever even consider doing.
Probably not.
Just because their whole thing is get it out the mud, like everybody leaves with a bloody nose.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that if that's out there, it's something for the Knicks to look at because the offense. I really think that the offensive struggles come from just how insurmountably bad the defense is.
Yeah.
And if those are three elite defenders that the Knicks would be pulling in from that deal at multiple positions. And then we would never have to face Wendell Carter Jr. again, which would
Yeah.
be a boon for
And
them.
they get off of Isaac's contract, which is something they've been wanting to do.
Well, look, if I actually think Jonathan Isaac has contributed
Oh yeah,
greatly
he
to
can
the
be.
team this year, now that he's finally healthy, but I guess in theory it makes sense for the Magic because they can't score and they love Anthony Black. So and Jalen Suggs is always hurt. So those are all the things that that would motivate Orlando to do it. But from a Knicks perspective, it is kind of selling a little low on Cat. But if you wanna fix the problem right now, those are some players that would help. I feel so bad. But the thing, you have to look holistically at the whole deal. Like Dottie and Yabusele are giving this team zero, zero.
And you're getting
And
value.
all three of the players that you'd be getting back, you said it was Carter, Bataze, and Suggs. Those are
Oh
all
no,
the
Carter, Isaac, and Suggs. Or
so
actually, it could be Batadze too. Either would work, but I think they'd be more willing to give up
yeah.
Isaac because of his injury
Bataze,
history.
I think I saw another mock that had. But
Mhm.
in any case, it's like then you just have three rotation pieces right out of the box that can immediately bolster your defense. So it's something that I would think about at least. If there's no way, if the real deal is getting to Giannis, if there's a way to get
Yeah,
to Giannis with Cat's
Mhm.
money, that's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, you have to do
yeah,
it.
but we
But if there are these piecemeal trades and it looks like the Giannis ship is sailing elsewhere, like maybe you look at those.
yeah, I just it was not even that trade in particular, but just that kind of deal too, because like look at what the Suns did. I'm not saying the Suns are going to go win a championship with this core, but they're not. But they got rid of KD for Dylan Brooks and got a lot better. Like Jalen Green has played 3 games, including tonight, up to this point. So they swapped one for one, pretty much KD for Dylan Brooks, and just that kind of culture changer and overall just defensive enforcer that Jalen Suggs is similar to. He's not going to go get 16 technicals in the first 40 games, which is a good thing. But yeah, if the Knicks can do that, I'm not that opposed to it. But I think ultimately the easiest fix for the Knicks is Giannis finally just saying, I would like to actually be traded instead of going every other week acting like a teenage girl that just got broken up with her boyfriend.
I'm glad you guys are talking about
Well,
Giannis too,
it's
because yeah, I don't think you can make any sort of cat trade that jeopardizes your ability to then go land Giannis.
Yeah, that's
Same
my
thing with
thing.
like that. I think people have been talking about with the Heat. Like yeah, you have to keep those assets safe for a potential Giannis deal because he's still out there, and that is like the ultimate solution here, I think, to the scenario. But I wanted to ask you guys about solutions actually, because I think we've pretty much hashed out for the most part what's wrong with this Knicks team as of right
Yeah.
now. Just the lack of, connectiveness, fire, passion, effort, whatever you want to say it is. But I want to ask you guys, not necessarily a prediction, but what sort of thing do you think can sort of break this team out of this slump and really get them back on track towards, getting ready for the playoffs, ready to compete for a championship, or at the very least a finals appearance?
The first thing you could do, even without making a major trade, I think there's still a piece or two you can get. Justin Champagnie's a guy I've had on my list for a while from the Wizards. I think you could probably go get him, maybe give them back their protected first. I'm not sure if he's worth trading that for, but there's options. I think just getting a piece or two, not necessarily making a big swing. I don't think like a Najee Marshall or a Sadiq Bey is going to happen because I don't think the Knicks really have the assets to go and do get him and make it worth it to give up their only assets for a guy like that. But on the court, I think I'm not really sure right now. Maybe Doug has a better answer.
Well, I mean, you gotta beat the brakes off of Brooklyn tomorrow. Stop
Hmm.
fucking around and beat the brakes off of a bad team. We'll start with that. Tomorrow, come out and play strong. Play your ass off. Mike Brown also has got to settle down with all the rotation fluctuation stuff. The Knicks have had a lot of injury issues, which accounts for some of that. But now it's too deep in the season to be going that deep in the bag in terms of switching up starting lineups and rotations nonstop. We got to settle into something predictable. Hopefully they can. Hopefully now they have most of their pieces healthy and they can do that. And we see, okay, Kolek maybe isn't as great as he looked, but he's not as bad as he is right now. The Abuselli thing has got they got to do something about that. He cannot be in a Knicks uniform. This is not being me being like he sucks or something. He doesn't. The Gershon Yabusele thing has to be solved immediately, quickly, soon, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it's not to say that he's a bad player. He's definitely playing way under his expectations. He definitely doesn't look like he's conditioned and ready right now, still, but he's getting better. And if it's not going to work, you got to attack that situation right now because you need a usable piece with that mid-level exception. You got to go. You got to move Yabusele. That's like the front office thing that has to happen. You can't. There's no two ways around it. There's no waiting for the right time, waiting for the summer. It's like that is an area where it's like definitively you have to solve that somehow. And they just gotta fucking want it, man. Like it's crazy that I have to say that. Like start clean it up. Clean it up. If it's Mike Brown, whatever it is, they had a players only meeting. Hopefully that means they can beat the Nets tomorrow and get a little momentum going with a win against one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Yeah, if they lose to the Nets, I actually like that is that yeah, that can't happen. They cannot let that happen.
I mean, I know this owner too well to think that Mike Brown would have a job come Thursday if they lost that game tomorrow. I'm dead
Yeah,
ass.
like I
Wow.
genuinely, yeah, I think genuinely there is a legitimate chance that Mike Brown gets fired in the middle of the season if they lose to the Nets tomorrow. If they lose by 20 to the Nets tomorrow, he's
Oh,
not having
jeez.
a
All
job
right.
by the next morning.
God forbid. I mean, it's not going to happen. Like
Yeah,
I have to tell myself it's not going to happen because it's too much. Like as somebody who creates content around this team, I can't. I've gotten to the point where I'm like I almost can't even have emotions about the team because I know I it's something I take pride in doing is making great content for Knicks fans, and it's too upsetting to watch it over and over again and have it break me up and have it make me dread making content and making music. Like I can't do that to myself.
Mm.
So like this is like you really I'm really coming unhinged right
That
now, but
bad,
that's just
yeah.
how frustrated I am with this. It's not panic. Dion's right. Like if they can correct the ship, anything is possible. They should be at the top of the conference. They should be able to make it to the finals. But like this loafing around and looking at the next guy and going down by 12 to start games, like at least if nothing else, honor and pride has to
Yeah.
mean something to you.
I want to ask you guys this to kind of wrap things up here, because conveniently, this team's downfall has really coincided with the start of the new year, which also sort of coincides with the
The
NBA
cup.
Cup. Do you think
Oh.
them not hanging the banner, Doug, has put a curse on this team? Do you think they need to hang the banner to lift the curse?
I'm a little older than you guys. I'm 37. I've been doing this shit for 32 years. Listen to how washed I sound right now. But I've been doing this for a long time. I have seen the worst, the most heartbreaking, the most disappointing rosters, the worst injuries. I've seen it all. So if we are going to start attributing curses to a team playing like dog, like it's ridiculous. The superstition and the like you went to the watch party wearing the John Starks jersey. The Knicks are 1-5 when you wear that jersey. Fuck you. Win. You're a good team. Win.
Uh, I like that. I like that. No excuses. Okay. And I would have loved to see them hang the banner. I wish that they did, but yeah.
That
You
tournament
can't let them
though,
off that easy. You're right, Doug. You're
is
right.
it a coincidence that the three teams that have went to the tournament or have won the cup
Yeah,
have
hey, I
actually
mean,
just turned into a dumpster fire right afterwards? I
It
think
is
there's
actually
a
quite freaky. It is very
I think
freaky
there's
in the
got to
way.
be some level of complacency that creeps into the mind after you win
Right.
something like that because it's like, oh, we got this. I think Deuce is
You
that's
know
one
what's
of the
so funny about that? You know what's so funny about that, Nate, is that the post game quote from Deuce McBride was he was like, the guys are just so used to winning
well,
and that
yeah.
they're kind of taking their foot off the gas. And shout out to my friend Papa Left who on Spaces today was like, what have any of you won in
Yeah.
the NBA? Like you won, like OG Anunoby is a champion technically, but he was a DMP for the entire
yeah.
playoffs. So like where are we really like manufacturing that much complacency from the NBA Cup, like to the point where it breaks your whole team? Come on, come on, it's absurd.
Yeah. Shout out to Papa Left too. One of my favorite Nick Twitter follows out there.
That's my
Um
guy.
yeah. Actually, before we get out of here, a non-Knicks related question that I wanted to ask you because when I first came across your page, I was instantly that hit me was did you have any inspiration from John Lajoie at all, or were you a John Lajoie person? Did you watch him on YouTube ever, or no? You're not familiar with him?
Can you tell me what he does, and maybe I've
He's
seen
he
what he
makes like really
does, and I
raunchy
just don't
like
remember his
he
name.
makes like really raunchy it's not like you didn't do the raunchy part but like just like like silly like music videos but like raunchy like lyrics like one of his songs is called like E equals MC Vagina. He has like a song called like this is the best like the best Christmas song
I
ever.
I've never
uh
heard of him.
okay, I'm gonna send you one of his songs or whatever then later. I'm just gonna
You got to send it to me. So and then I go around and I also people send me other people that do recap music
yeah
parodies and all this other stuff. I just want to shout out my guy J.R. Simpson who is the real originator with Mets series recaps, music
Mm.
recaps. But like there's a lot of what's cool about the internet is there's just an unlimited palette of creativity. If you will it, it is no dream. Nothing has been truer than this when it comes to creating content on the internet. So whatever it is that you think I might be inspired by seeing, send it to me. I want to watch
Yeah,
it.
no, I definitely will. I was a little disappointed there because I thought that was like my childhood on YouTube. He just made like really like could not have existed in today's day and age at all with the censorship. But yeah, I guess we'll get you out of here, Doug. If there's anything you want to plug or tell everyone to go check out, feel free to do so.
I have a new single out called "The Motto." It's on my Spotify. DugLust, DUGLUST. I put out content, musical recaps usually, but lately I've been putting out these weird skits to try to find some catharsis within this horrible basketball that I watch night in and night out. So I'm constantly making and creating. Follow me, X, TikTok, YouTube. It's all the same, DUGLUST. And Instagram, same thing, threads, all that. So just tap in. I'm always playing around the city, and I'm always talking, thinking, existing around the New York Knicks.
Doug does think and exist, so those are two very true things. Make sure to go check him out. If you're a Knicks fan and you don't already follow Doug, make sure you do that. That is an absolute must. All his stuff will be linked in the
Even if you're
description
not,
of
you
the
don't need to be a
video.
Knicks fan, man. Everyone should be following Doug.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
His
especially
content
if
is
you're a Knicks
amazing.
fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone, if you don't follow Doug, I don't know why you even like. What
You're
is your
you're just
purpose on
missing
this
out as an
earth?
NBA fan. You're just missing out because there could be a Knicks game that I don't watch. I'm scrolling on
Dion,
Instagram. I catch his
Dion, how
video. Good.
and how sweet is it when the Celtics beat our ass and I have to write a song about it?
Oh yeah, no, that's just the cherry on top. But like, I could go and miss a Knicks game, but if I see your video, I feel like I get a very good sense of how the game went, and it's just so entertaining. So
Thank you.
you're great. I'm still waiting for
Thank you,
the
bro.
for the summer to come around so I can start blasting "Hot as Balls" again. That's my favorite song of yours. But yeah, I guess that'll wrap it for us for this episode, Doug. Thanks so much for coming on. Definitely gonna have you on at some point,
Thank you,
probably like
guys.
playoff times, talk about the Knicks
Love
playoff
it.
chances. But that'll do it for this episode. Everyone,
Oh,
make sure to subscribe,
what's
and we'll be
done?
back with another episode
Peace.
soon.